These two companies are both listed as the Profit Magazine's Hot 50 Emerging Growth Companies. They prefer to just think that they're hot, period. So, Doug Grossfield from Xylotech and Chantel Feltham of Styrus Research, if you want to come up here. By the way, Chantel, not Doug, was also listed in the top 100 women entrepreneurs. Doug's hoping for that next year.
We get to introduce Ian right to go to. So I met Doug actually at the Profit Hot 50. I mean, could we be working at any hotter? You know? And when I first met Doug, I met him in this group, and I sat there in this Hot 50 group and said, I don't have a clue what I'm doing. I own a company. We're Hot 50. We were making over $3 million a year, and I didn't know how to run a business. And so I'm asking around this group for help, a coach, someone who can teach me what the difference is between net and gross. That's how basically bad I was. And Doug comes up right away and says, you have to talk with Tony, an action coach. And I have to tell you, I've been in here less than a year, and huge difference. I think Tony had more hair when he started working with me. I've made him pull every bit of it out. But all of this stemmed for me from my Profit Hot 50 meeting Ian, and if you ever get a chance to go to one of his growth clubs, since doing the growth club, we now know why people should do business with us. We are working on a marketing plan. We are instituting a number of changes in our company based on what I found out at Growth Club, being driven by Tony, an action coach, and all started off by Doug. Okay, so fabulous group. And with Ian, I'll only take one more second. Then you can
I'm enjoying it. I guess the first thing I'd like to say is that Ian, you guys can probably save a lot of money in your budget next year by not casting the net so wide to search for the next batch Hot 50. It's something in the eggs they serve here at Glencairn. Your next group is going to be in this room. Ian is the editor of Profit Magazine, and he's a fantastic speaker. We've met him on a number of occasions, so I know you guys will enjoy it. So welcome, Ian. Thanks, Chantel and Doug, for that kind introduction, and thanks to Jamie Cunningham for inviting me to speak today. My presentation, all 20 minutes of it, is called Secrets of Success of Canada's Fastest Growing Companies. I'm going to get to as many as I can in the time I have. For those of you who are more academically inclined, here's another title, Positive Correlation, Management Practice and Revenue Growth Among Owner-Managed Canadian Enterprises. You've said that you refuse to participate in anything boring, so we'll just go back to this one. How does that sound? All right. Okay, so we call it Secrets of Success of Canada's Fastest Growing Companies because it's based on what I've learned over the past 14 years as an editor at Profit Magazine. And the Profit 100 is something, ranking of Canada's fastest growing companies is something we've been doing now for 21 years. We're in our 21st year. There's the Profit 100. It ranks companies on the basis of 5-year revenue growth. And when we started this program back in 1989, it was, there was some optimism about this program. But there were also a lot of doubters and skeptics because they thought, how are you possibly going to find 100 growing companies in Canada in 1989? One of the sturdiest jokes at the time was this: how do you build a successful small business in Canada? Does anyone know the answer to this question? That was it. You start a big business and then you wait for it to shrink. Fortunately, we remained undeterred by this skepticism, and we launched the Profit 100 now in its 21st year. And here were the results from the 2008 ranking of Canada's fastest growing companies. 5-year revenue growth of 1,800%. So over the course of 5 years, their revenue is multiplied by a factor of 19. So amazing growth stories. Companies on the ranking range in size from $1 million in revenue a year, which is actually the minimum we allow, to $6 billion a year. That was Research in Motion. The median, the midpoint for all of these companies was 13 million, so they're in the small and mid-sized business category. And the median payroll was 75. So amazing growth stories there. 9 years ago now, we launched the Profit Hot 50 ranking of Canada's emerging growth companies, which is the ranking that Chantal and Doug were on last year. Ranks companies on the basis of 2-year revenue growth, and the results last year were fabulous. 2-year revenue growth averaging 756%, average revenue of nearly $7 million, and the average company had about 40 employees. Now, when you see growth like this, a lot of people assume that these must all be high-tech companies. There are companies in telematics and workforce management software, in biotech, all sorts of industries like that. But in any given year, half of the companies on the Profit 100 and the Profit Hot 50 rankings are from what I call traditional industries. Last year, the #1 company in Canada with 13,000% revenue growth was a daycare chain. So you can have exponential growth in just about any industry you want. In our top 10 alone, we also had companies in oil field services, natural health product distribution, the manufacturing of natural health foods, and a couple of others that were not high-tech. There are high-tech players there like Research in Motion, but a lot of smaller businesses and a lot of businesses that do the types of things that many people in this audience would do for a living. Despite the diversity of these companies, they do a few things that are worth noting as a group. #1 is these entrepreneurs show a lot of determination and resilience. You have to know that in order to build a company like a Research in Motion, or even any of the smaller companies on our list, you have to overcome many obstacles in business. And you have to do that often at great financial loss and personal losses. You know, the number of Profit 100 entrepreneurs who've told us that they've divorced over the past 5 years is pretty high. But that's the price you have to pay.
You need an action coach, eh?
They need coaches. I don't run my own business, and I'm so happy. Although in the hours I've been working lately, we'll see. So determination and resilience. They have a willingness to innovate. They don't only develop new products and services that the world wants, but they develop new ideas for managing their businesses, and that's really what the Profit 100 is all about. We're not about identifying great, crazy new industries that you can get into because you're all established business owners. You're probably pretty happy with what you're doing, or you figure it's you know, too much effort to try to jump into a different line of business. But we do want to try to share all of the management practices that these people have come up with. Thirdly, they have a passion for growth. Being a small business owner, mid-sized business owner is great, but being a big business owner has its advantages. Of course, you develop economies of scale when you grow. Another very important thing is you develop a brand that people recognize. A lot of companies will go out there and introduce themselves and no one's ever heard of you. When you're a big business, people have heard of you. Of course, that helps you get meetings with potential clients. But almost as importantly these days is when you have a larger, well-known brand, even if it's just a larger regional or local brand, you will attract a lot more resumes. And many business owners know how difficult it is to find good people these days. So when you grow, you tend to be a magnet for more and better talent. And finally, of course, Canada's fastest growing companies have an ability to execute timely growth strategies, and I'm going to quickly tell you about 4 of them. Idea #1 is steal the best ideas, which I think is why you're here today. You're here to learn from other people and steal, or if you want to be more delicate about it, borrow the best ideas you encounter. This company here, Spin Master, is a master at essentially stealing other people's ideas. Ben Verratti, Anton Rabi, and Ronan Barreri run a company. It has more than 300